Ooh, hi guys, I'm Tina Merkava and I'm going to be breaking down Aries moon in the houses. Okay, so in my previous video I already broke down the Aries moon, and I basically just said a whole bunch of things that Aries moon people do and how they feel and what makes them comfortable and everything like that. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down Aries moon in the houses and the different areas of life and where, if you have an Aries moon, and how it kind of plays out in your houses, right? So I kind of like already touched a little bit on if you have an Aries moon in your first house. I'm just trying to find the perfect lighting. I'm a Virgo. Anyway, so okay, Aries moon in the first house, right? Wow. 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 You are a wow. Aries, okay, so here's the thing, right? Aries moon is already in the moon. We already have the first house, which is your personal issues, your personality, your personal blah 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 blah, and you have Mars there, right? So already it's frustrated. The moon is really fucking frustrated because now you're like your emotions are like everywhere, they're chaotic and da 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 da. But you're an individual and you don't like telling people. You don't like people telling you how to deal with your life, and you don't like people telling you how to deal with your emotions and shit like that, right? But now, if you put all of that shit in the first house, right? Because we already have the first house in the moon, but now it's the double emphasis with Aries in the first house. If you have your Aries moon in the first house, not only do you take things personally, right? Because now, okay, you may even be like an Aries sun, no, an Aries moon, and an Aries motherfucking ascendant. So this is like Rihanna. I actually wonder, Rihanna, that's probably why Rihanna doesn't date a lot of people. Because she doesn't like, because Aries moon, especially the females, Aries moon females does not like to be told what to do. Aries moon females, they're gonna do whatever the fuck that they want to do. I said boo. They're gonna do whatever the fuck they want to do. And they don't like these social norms of like, oh, I like my female to be a lot more feminine and a lot more and ooh and you know, Aries moon are like very passionate and they're gonna type like the Aries moon females are probably like they're the alpha females, you know, like they're the ones in the group of like friendships. They're the ones like telling guys, okay, listen, you go get the weed, you go get the blankets, you go get the food, and then me and this girl, we're gonna go get the fucking incense, you know. And everybody like disperses and they do everything that the Aries moon female just told them to do, you know what I'm saying? Because what makes you feel comfortable with your Aries moon in the first house, right? Oh shit, right? Is okay. Not only are you like the alpha, right, and that makes you comfortable, but you take this energy and you put it in your first house, right? So you like to tell the people in your personal life. You like to kind of like boss around the people in your personal life, right? And kind of like give direction to everybody, or not give direction, but like be bossy and like give way and like basically give direction to everybody in your personal life, right? And not only this, but like I said in my previous video, you take all those passionate emotions, right? And you take all those like fiery, passionate emotions and whatever, and you put them in the first house. So everything in your first house, right? You kind of like to like you very somewhat protective over your first house. You're protective over your personality. You don't like when outside intruders like try to ask you about your personal life and the personal people that are in your life. But to another degree is that you take everything personally, but overly personally, right? Because anybody could do anything to, like, they could not even anything to you. They could be in the same surrounding as you, and people will be doing specific things because they're trying to have, like, people could be, you know, popping bottles, smoking weed, and maybe let's say you brought cigarettes, right? But everybody around there doesn't smoke cigarettes, right? You're gonna think, oh, they don't want to smoke my cigarettes because they don't like me, or because I don't know, they probably think something bad of me. And then you start getting in a mood, and then either A, you start lashing out, B, you start acting very irrational, and then people look at you funny, like, what the fuck is up with you, you know? Or you just like leave, or no, you leave like very aggressively, like, oh, fuck these guys, you know? But then people look at you funny either way because they're like, yo, what's up with this dude, you know? But then they don't understand that, hey, you're just somebody that takes everything personally. Like, in relationships, like, somebody, maybe your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your spouse, whoever, they may be feeling sick that day, and they're like, nah, I don't feel like going anywhere. You're gonna take that shit personally and be like, oh wow, why you being like that? Why you acting up all weird and shit? And you don't understand that that person is just sick and they just don't feel like doing that shit on that particular day. You know what I'm saying? Like, just know everything is not about you, Aries moon person in the first house. Like, chill, just fucking relax. Ugh. And right now, me telling you this may be pissing you off too, but it is what it is. Like, not everything is about you, right? And you probably don't even have that many friends. Also, as the Aries moon in the first house, depending on if your sun sign is in Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra, because that modifies everything, you know. And depending on if your sun sign is in the air house, so if it's in the third house or the seventh house or the 11th house, then it may make you a lot more extroverted. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, as an Aries moon person, if they're Aries moon in the first house, they probably don't have a lot of friends, and the friends that they do have, they those friends probably understand that this Aries moon person is like this. But people who don't really know you, and then you start acting like this, they may look at you funny. They think, oh, you're weird. You know, you're just someone that's like, I don't know, you're just like, I don't know, you're just a weird person. They may look at you like, I don't want to be around you. Oh my God, you're just like, and you're also very selfish too. You know what I'm saying? You can be very, very selfish and like very selfishly protective over your personal life. And you don't like when other people intrude on your personal life because it's like somewhat like, it's like your vulnerable state. It's like your soft spot, you know? And whenever somebody like kind of, when you feel like somebody's attempting to touch your soft spots, then that's when you either lash out or you act in irrational ways or you just do shit to like get people to look at you like, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's for Aries moon in the first house. Um, what else could I say about Aries moon in the first house? Basically, it's basically just a double emphasis of the Aries moon, really. You know, you can be a very selfish person with this shit. Very selfish person. Like, you really think about yourself a lot of the times and you react and respond to your own like personal issues. Like, you could give a fuck about somebody else's personal issues. As long as you're fine, you are fine. So this is like the self-serving kind of placement, you know? Like, you really don't care. You, on the negative side, you could really not give a fuck about what other people go through, you know. And when it's time for you to like kind of relate your life to other people, and you know, do that thing where people share experiences, you may not want to do that because you may think, oh, what the fuck, that's like personal. No, that's my soft spot, you know. And then you may not have friends, and you may even want friends, but you may not, because you're not a relatable person anyway, because that shit is in the first house, which is the house of self. You may be very selfish, like I said, so you don't really know how to relate your shit to other people's shit, you know. And then like you feel pissed off and you take that shit personally, that people don't know how to relate their lives to yours in a way that makes you feel comfortable, you know. So you, in this placement, you may be a very difficult person, you know, but for the most part, the good part about this is that you know how to take your life and make it private. You know how to like somewhat maneuver. Actually, I was about to say, you know how to maneuver things in a way that people talk about what you want to talk about. But even in that part, whenever people talk about something or bring up a topic, you may think that they're somehow trying to like make it sound like somehow it's about getting you to open up in some way. You know, so it's weird. Like, but I will say for the most part, Aries moon people know how to like be self-sufficient and know how to like take care of themselves. You know, they know how to like really be there for themselves. You know, and then if it's in the second house, if you have your Aries moon in the second house, these are stingy these are people that can be stingy. You know what I'm saying? Because either way, the moon in the second house is exalted. This is an exaltation, so the moon loves to be in the second house. But if there's Aries here, so you may even be not a Taurus, Pisces rising with this placement, you know, or you may have like a Aries overlapping thing. But for the most part, you may be a Taurus rising. So you've like, for the most part, like the moon really loves being in the second house, you know, so you're able to manifest this, so you have your self-worth, right? So like yourself, you value your emotions and you have somewhat of an emotional stability, right? But here's the thing, if you have Aries here, this can make you a stingy person, right? So everything that you value, your food, favorite foods, clothes, snacks, drinks, you may be very stingy with these things because you're always thinking about, oh no, do I have enough for myself? Do I have enough food for myself? Do I have this thing for myself? And then you value these things, obviously, right? Because you value your clothes, you value your food, you value da 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 da. But then with Aries, there it makes it selfish, right? It makes it very selfish. And you think about yourself, right? Because you put the first house in the second house. The first house is a house of self, and then the second house is a self of value. So you value yourself also. You could value yourself also, and kind of be. But I feel like this is a lot better than having it in your first house, whereas you can be very selfish. I mean, here you can be very stingy with the things that you have, and say you don't have something even though you do have it, just for the sake of like, oh, maybe I might need some for myself tomorrow or in an hour. Like, I know my peer group, my peers, I'm like 20 years old, so my peers smoke and drink and whatever. So you with an Aries moon in the second house person, you may have someone come up to you at a party or whatever, and they're like, yo, could I have a cigarette, and you be like, nah, I have to save it for whatever, and that, like, I mean, it's like, it is what it is at this point, but it's just like, you may have like a full pack of cigarettes, and then you're actually telling someone, nah, I don't have enough for you. That type of thing. And it's like, what? Really? That sucks. But yeah, also, yeah, you value your own personality. Like, you value your personal life. You value the things that are in your personal, like, you value your personal life. You value things that are in your personal insecurities, personal people in your life, you value, and you maybe, like, yeah, you value your personality also, and you value your passion too, and you value other people with passion. You value things that are passionate, things that are like very exciting, things that like make you feel like that adrenaline, you know what I'm saying? You may value sex too, because the second house is like, it rules Taurus, which is like the sensual, sexual, because Taurus, like, the second house is opposite the eighth house, which is the house of merging and shit. So you may value sex, you may value whatever it is that you value, though. You may be very stingy with that shit. But for the most part, the good side of this is that you're very stable in all your values. And whenever somebody tries to like kind of present something new to you, you're like, no. I have things here that I value that are personal to me, and you can't change that. But yeah, I also forgot to mention that with the Aries moon, you can be very stubborn, right? Because you don't like people telling you how to. Because we can just put this Aries moon in every house, right? You're very stubborn in a way, you don't like people telling you how to do anything. But I already said that. But anyway, with Aries in the third house, I have Aries in the third house, but I don't have my Aries moon in the third house. But anyway, if you have your Aries moon in your third house, all right. So what makes you feel comfortable is your Aries energy, and like your passion, your fire, your first house. It's put in your third house. So this is the house of your siblings, your friends, your neighbors. Like things that you're familiar with, right? So what makes you feel comfortable is like you're a lot more comfortable with expressing all of this Aries energy with your siblings, right? You very comfortable with expressing your fiery energy with your friends or people that are just familiar to you. Also, you may be a very fast talker with this Aries moon in the third house, right? Because the third house rules Gemini, and it's like very communicative and thinking in like words and sentences and numbers and shit like that. So you may be very like good with numbers and very good with words. You may react, because this is the moon, right? So you react and respond into things that are familiar to you, right? But in this way, you may be you may over talk other people with this Aries moon in the third house. So you may be like very, yeah, I'm just trying to think about like, sorry, I just got like distracted a bit, but you may be very like talkative with your Aries moon in the third house. You may be very like you talk a lot with this Aries moon in the third house. And then or you may have, because this is the moon, so this is what makes you feel comfortable. So your mother may have been someone that like talked a lot, and that was very like passionate and very direct. She kind of almost hurt your feelings with the words that she was saying. Or she may have been like an Aries mother who had like, who'd always like say things and then like kind of ended off in like a, don't be fucking mad. It's like, how dare you be mad type of thing. with her words that she says that are very because Aries is straightforward and Aries is gonna tell you how it is and get to the fucking point. Especially with this in the third house, right? Because this can even apply to Aries and Mercury Aries. You just get to the fucking point. But this is what makes you comfortable. So you like other people who get to the point. You like other people with the Aries moon in the third house. You like other people who get to the fucking point and you don't beat around the motherfucking bush and say things in a very pretty way. You like honest people with this placement. And then in the fourth house, right? So this is kind of like a double emphasis, because Aries in the fourth house is basically having Aries in your moon. But for the most part, the moon likes being in the fourth house, right? So it makes you comfortable. You are comfortable with fiery people. You're comfortable with very passionate people. But now here's the thing. You may attract very aggressive people, right? Actually, this may make you comfortable, because the other side of Aries is if it's not being passionate, it can be very aggressive, and kind of overbearing and overly dramatic about shit. And overly, I don't know. Ooh. Overly expressive, to the point where it's oh my god. So with this Aries moon, you may be doing this at your home. So you may have a lot of arguments with your mom and your dad or your siblings, right? Because this is the fourth house. Your fourth house is your home. But I feel like either way, with an Aries moon, you may be a very explosive person in your family. Actually, no, it's different because if it's just in your moon sign, if we're just describing the moon, then this is what makes you feel comfortable. But then the areas of life, which is your fourth house, which is an area of life, is different. So you may be someone that fights a lot with your family, or okay, in the third house, you may fight a lot with your siblings, or you may be you may have very passionate siblings. But in the fourth house, your Aries moon in the fourth house, you may fight a lot with your family members, or you may be the one that's always kind of giving what's this, encouraging your family members to do things. You're the one that's always boosting them and giving them a spark of passion. Guys, now we can do this. Or on the other hand, with that Aries moon, you are an individual and you don't like people telling you what to do. So you may even have power struggles with your dad always telling you, no, do that, son, do it like this, say it like this. You may be like, no, dad, I want to live my life like this. So that's the thing. You may have a lot of arguments with your parents, or you may be the individual. You may be the individual person in your family, but on the positive side, that you may have that one sibling that understands you, the one sibling that's okay, I know an Aries moon person is doing this, they want to be left alone, but for the most part at home, you're probably an individual, and what makes you feel comfortable is kind of having your own space at home and knowing when to tell. But you see, for the most part, is you are a private person, right? Naturally, you're going to be a private person, so you're naturally going to be an introvert, and you're naturally going to, you may even attract a lot of Cancer sun sign people with this placement, with your Aries moon in the fourth house, right? But for the most part, you're going to be very kind of passionate at home, but very private, when you're with people that you don't know. People who don't know you won't know how fiery you are, and all the shit that you go through internally, and why you act weird and why you act the way that you act, until you get comfortable with them, and until they get into your fourth house, then you're oh, okay, cool, okay, let me show you. Wah! Rage. And then shit, in your fifth house, if your Aries moon is in your fifth house, right? Now these are people, shit, Aries moon in your fifth house, oh my god, oh my fucking god. So fifth house is already how you express yourself, right? And Aries is already an expressive sign, but this is the moon sign, right? So I have my moon in my fifth house, but my moon is Gemini, but I can say Aries is my sextile sign in terms of my moon, because I'm a Virgo sun. But anyway, it's not about me. See, this whole Aries thing got me talking about myself, the whole thing with the sun. Anyway, guys. So if you have Aries in your fifth house, right? Oh, jeez. So what makes you things that make you feel comfortable is fun and entertainment, right? Having fun, expressing yourself, right? But here's the thing with the Aries sun and with the Aries moon in the fifth house, right? So now Aries, the sign is already exalted in the 5th house, right? But if we place this in the moon, this is an expressive person. So, and Aries is already like so fiery and fucking expressive. So, oh my fucking god, you must be someone that is like overly dramatic, and you love this because you're like, but it can be to a point where it's like way too fucking much. You're like, chill. You know, you may be around like a earth sign person, and they may look at you like, eh? Or an air sign person. See, okay, maybe a Gemini might kind of entertain you with all the words that they're saying, and a Libra may want to relate to everything that you're saying, and an Aquarius will kind of just like look at you like, oh, that type of thing, you know. But like for the most part, like, oh my god, you are dramatic. Okay, this is not even a bad thing, but I'm just like already envisioning someone with their Aries moon in the 5th house. You're very dramatic, and this is what makes you feel comfortable, is to be dramatic and express your feelings, right? But here's the thing: if it's an Aries, bruh, Aries is already super freaking like, you know, like tiger. Like tiger being hungry and shit like that, right? And if you put it in the 5th house, this is what makes you feel comfortable, is expressing, and this is entertaining to you, right? And this is fun to you, and you like other people, you enjoy other people that are very expressive, you know. You don't like being, you as an Aries moon in the 5th house, you won't like being around people that like tell you, okay guys, we're going here, so please tame that shit down. You don't like that shit because first of all, they told you what to do, and second of all, they try to like dumb down your expression, which is what made you feel comfortable, is the 5th house is to express. So it's gonna be like, what the fuck, how dare you telling me to not feel comfortable? Bye, deuces. And then the Aries moon person is out, because that's what makes them feel comfortable, is to express, you know. But they also, like I say, they may like other people that are very expressive, and other people that are expressive in an individual way, you know. They have their own way of expressing themselves, and they're not like copycats type of shit, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but the negative side to this, you can be very explosive and too much. Positive side to this, you're like an individual, you're very super fucking creative, you know. You're very I don't know, your brain is just full of like color, maybe a lot of reds, and I think a lot of red and orange, and like yellow, and like a little bit of pink. When I think Aries moon in the 5th house, you know, and gold and shit. And then if it's in the 6th house, what makes you feel comfortable is working, right? So the 6th house is work, schedules, routine, your health, right? So you as an Aries moon, you probably like to tackle your health, right? And you probably like to be number one, like you probably like to kind of like you may be like kind of wishy-washy with your routines, because I feel like Aries energy doesn't really give a fuck about what they eat, you know, because they have a lot of energy. So you may have a lot of energy for working out, you know. You may look forward to working out because this is an outlet of energy, you know. You're like, this Aries moon probably do have a lot of energy. That's why they may like to fuck a lot, you know, especially if it's in the 5th house. Yo, Aries moon, the Aries moon's in the 5th house. I'm sorry to go back, but if your Aries moon's in the 5th house, you definitely like to fuck. Oh, you love fucking, right? But you also may like to, like, you know, draw and paint and shit like that. But you also may like movies about war, and like movies about like I don't know, like just some catastrophic shit. But if it's in your 6th house, as an Aries moon in your 6th house, then what makes you feel comfortable is like kind of like you, like I said, you like working out because it's a form of like outletting your energy, like all of those impulsive energies, you know. But like I said, also you may be wishy-washy with your schedule, because Aries is like cardinal sign, so it initiates and initiates new ways of how to see and feel about certain things. So you know, one way you may feel like, and really feel like, okay, I'm gonna like go take this jog, da da da, and then the next day, I don't know, you do something else. You initiate and feel a new way about how to like do something else that's like exercise or whatever it is that you do, you know, that's on a schedule. But on a day-to-day routine, I don't know. I feel like it depends on really how you feel. Because once again, Aries moon, it all depends on your feeling. Because depending on how you wake up, also that's gonna set it won't really set the rest of your day. Because something in the day might change your mood. But for the most part, I feel like it's gonna like it somewhat does depend on your mood. Because you may be at home eating, and then you see something on TV and you're like, fuck, I need to go jog, and then boom, you go jog, you know what I'm saying? That shit. And then if your Aries moon is in the 7th house, right? So you are probably somebody that likes to like force relationships onto people. You know, on the negative side, that you like to force relationships with people, or you're very passionate. You know, you're very passionate in relationships with people. Maybe somewhat of a bully in these relationships, because like if somebody doesn't love you in the way that you want them to love you, then you're gonna either get really frustrated, or you're just gonna get like really bored with them. You know, because Aries is like, bro, are we having fun, or are we gonna go? So, but also you could also be a bit of a bully in your one-on-one personal relationships with people, because you may like to like initiate a new way of, because this is your opposite house, right? Because you're Aries, and then the seventh house rules Libra, so you may be very like somewhat aggressive in your relationship, like I said, but you can be very passionate too. You know, you're actually very passionate. It's just on a negative thing, you can be very aggressive. You know, it can even turn into violence, depending on like how much Aries you have in the seventh house. But yeah, for the most part, you're very like passionate, and you like, it's like you kind of you like to somewhat build relationships, but it can be very quick, like, in how you like you in like you may be somebody that likes to rush into relationships too. You know, you don't really think, just depending on how you feel. If a person makes you feel good, you're like, listen, let's date, like, why the fuck not? And if the person is like, no, let's just take our time, you'd be like, oh, boring. You know what I'm saying? That impulsive, let's just do it now, let's do it now energy. Because that's what makes you feel comfortable, is like, let's do it now. But if it's in the seventh house, and you may feel like, yeah, you may jump into relationships very quickly, you know. And then these relationships could be like the most terrible relationships ever in your whole entire life, because you just like were very impulsive with that shit, and it taught you to like slow down. You know, fucking, what's his name? Steve Lacy said that shit in his songs, and he was like, I just can't rush, not again, oh, not again. But you know that song. But shout out to Steve Lacy. I fucking love that guy. He's a Taurus sun, Taurus moon. He has his Venus in Aries, though. I know that, which is a shame. But yeah. And then if you have Aries in your eighth house, right? So this is also if your Aries moves in the eighth house. So already the moon does not like to be in the eighth house, because now the emotions are very solid, and it's like you are responding to things that the moon does not like to respond to, which is desires and secrets, and you know, fucking death and shit like that. And the moon wants to nurture and shit, but in the eighth house, it needs to like transform itself and shit. Like, oh, the moon is like, oh, really eighth house, oh. But also doesn't like Aries anyway. Doesn't like Aries, doesn't like Virgo, doesn't like Scorpio, doesn't like the first house, doesn't like the sixth house, doesn't motherfucking like, oh no, sorry, that's Venus. I'm talking about Venus. But for the yeah, Cancer, I mean, not Cancer, the fucking thingy, the moon does not like the first house, doesn't like the eighth house. It also doesn't like the 10th house. 10th house. I was thinking about Venus, my bad, guys. I don't know why my fucking lighting keeps doing this. But yeah, in the 8th house, Aries moon in the 8th house, right? Now, Aries, the sign itself, does really well in the 8th house, but the moon itself, if you put Aries in the 8th house, in the moon, right? This is somebody who is like very secretive, right? And with the Aries, like they're very impulsive with that shit, and they keep everything personal, right? But now with the eighth house, they keep their personal life a secret. They can keep their personal issues, personal people in their lives a secret, and this is what makes them feel comfortable. You know, they don't like when other people know their secrets or their personal life, right? Because their personal life will be a secret. So these are the type of people where you can know them for 5 fucking years, and you don't know where they live, you don't know their surname. They may have introduced you with their nickname, you know, but you don't really know their name, you don't know their surname, you don't really know where they live, because every time you guys chill, I don't know, you go chill at like a restaurant, or you always at somebody else. The Aries moon person is always at somebody else's home. Or this Aries moon person is always like the one like, they're just very secretive people, you know. And they like, the good part about this also is that because already like the Aries moon is like intuitive, and they pick up on people's senses, right? So with the 8th house being here, they can pick up on other people trying to manipulate them, or try to get something out of them. But now here's the thing, right? Here's the thing that's gonna make it super extreme, is that people, the Aries moon person in the eighth house is gonna take that shit personal, and then they're gonna fucking lash out, and then they may even turn into pettiness, right? Because the eighth house can do that. They may be petty with that shit, right? And then cause fucking toxic situations that didn't have to be there just because they thought someone was trying to get something out of them, you know? Ghetto. I personally would not like that. With my moon in the fifth house in Gemini, I would not like that shit at all. But other people can handle that, you know, especially people with like with their moon in the 10th house dating people with their moon in the 8th house. That's like a lot more. That's a sixth house, so ayala. And then but on the positive side though is that I think this is the moon really doesn't fuck with both of these things. It makes you a secretive person. It also kind of makes you a cold person. You know, you're like very cold and you emanate like a vibration that you don't want people to like even somewhat speak to you. You know, so you may be that person that only has that one friend. As an Aries moon person in the eighth house, yeah, as your Aries moon, with your moon in the eighth house, you may have like that one person that you hang out with. You know, everybody else is just kind of like annoying to you because you think everybody's just trying to like get into your secrets, or you may think everyone's trying to fuck you. You know, so on the positive side, you may have like also with this placement, you may have a lot of sex too, and all your sexual partners are always a secret. You know, but I even think with the Aries moon placement, you may be your own friend, like you may be your own friend, and like not a lot of people know about you. But I feel like you may have that one friend that like knows your shit, you know. But that's your homegirl, like your homeboy, your person that you've known since you were like 2 years old, that type of thing. And then with your Aries moon in the ninth house, so what you react and respond to, so all of that vitality, that Mars energy goes into the ninth house. So you kind of, this is the ninth house is your wisdom and your experiences and philosophy and all of that shit, right? So you like to like somewhat, what makes you feel comfortable is being in experiences, right? And somewhat traveling and being a religious person. So this is what makes you like super spiritual as an Aries moon person in the ninth house. You're very spiritual. I feel like this is a lot better now. You know, this is a better placement to have as opposed to having your Aries moon in the first house or in the fifth house. Because in the fifth house you're like somewhat overbearing. In the first house you're very selfish. But in the ninth house you kind of had wisdom over your emotions, right? And I feel like the moon is exalted in the ninth house because it's the experience. I mean, the moon is exalted in Jupiter, but technically Jupiter rules that ninth house. So this is a little exaltation, little thing, right? So you have a lot of wisdom about your emotions and about like emotions, period. You know, so I feel like this is an Aries moon person that's a lot like that's not as, I mean, they can be selfish, but they're not as selfish as someone who has their Aries moon in the first house, you know. In the fifth house, an Aries moon person in the fifth house can be like, they can be very giving and nurturing, right? But it's only, I had to kill a mosquito. Yeah, I didn't even kill it though; it's still fine. But yeah, in the fifth house as an Aries moon, okay, you may not be as stingy as somebody or as selfish as somebody with their Aries moon in the fifth house. I mean, in the first house, right? Because you may be a very warm person and you gravitate a lot of people to you. So you're like, oh, free attention, cool. Well, you know, if I get this attention, I might as well give and I shall receive, that type of thing. But in the ninth house, you know, you have wisdom and like you have like philosophy and you're very philosophical about your emotions, so you know how to deal with your emotions a lot better than like someone, like I said, with someone with the Aries moon in the first house. So this is a better placement, but it makes you very, very, very spiritual. You know, these are people that can like pick up on other people's. But here's the thing, because it's also like you take everything personally. You may take, if somebody doesn't have the same belief system as you may take that shit personally too. You know, and you may want to separate yourself from them because you're like, okay, well, we're not vibing on the same frequency vibration, so all it's gonna do is cause frustration because you're not listening to me and you're gonna try to tell me what to do, and honey, we're not gonna have that. You know, that type of thing. And then if you have your Aries moon in the 10th house, now the 10th house, and well, the moon does not like to be in the 10th house, so this is the full So what you react and respond to your status, right? So what makes you feel comfortable is like having some kind of reputation that you can, like a reputation. If Aries is here, right, you probably have a Cancer rising, but what makes you feel comfortable is like having a reputation that kind of represents your individuality, you know. So you may be someone that like had to work, you don't like people helping you with your work or your career, you know what I'm saying? Or you may have felt like you had to somehow aggressively get help with your career, you know. But for the most part, you felt like, okay, um, like I'm gonna climb this ladder up myself and I'm not gonna have any help. But here's the thing, sometimes you do need help because sometimes teamwork makes the teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. You know what I'm saying? But you as an Aries moon in the first house, you may not like other people telling you how to, or you may be one of those things where, you know, like when people are in a group, in a band, and then they fall apart because one person, I'll use One Direction, you know, they fell apart because one person was like, nah, I wanna do my own thing. Other person is like, you know. So if an Aries moon person in the 10th house was in a group, they would probably have been the one to like leave the group first and like do their own thing and like you know, start their own reputation because they don't want to have to kind of like compromise with what the group had done. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't want to compromise with anybody. They want to have their own say and fucking do what they want to do without having to like consider other people, you know. So on the good side is that they can like take on a project by themselves and like somewhat see it through. But on the negative side is that once they do need help, they might like even like put themselves in a thing of like, you know what, I'd rather suffer than have to ask someone to help me. And then I'd have to give them the satisfaction of being like, yep, they helped me, you know, that type of thing. And then if your Aries moon is in the 11th house, then you are somebody that you saw your moon energy, your Aries moon energy is in the 11th house, right? So now this is somewhat of a sextile with the Aries moon. Like the moon does not like to be in the 11th house, but the Aries sign itself is a sextile to the 11th house because this is the Aquarius house. So with this, it's like you what makes you feel comfortable is to be associated with people. So even people that you don't even know. So these are the type of people that you as an Aries moon, you may feel a lot more comfortable with, like not so much people that you grew up with at your home, because you may take these people for it like granted and be like, nah, you guys are always hating on me, fuck you guys, da 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 da. But if you have your Aries moon in the 11th house, you may be like, you know what, these are my niggas. These people that I don't know, these are my people, right? And you may even like attract a lot of people that are individuals, right? Because the 11th house is the unknown, but it's also ruled by, it rules Aquarius, and Aquarius is, as you know, the individual people that are weird and quirky and fucking strange people, you know. So you may like appreciate people like that, right? Because I know, because even in this house, this is, I feel like it's less likely that you'll meet people, especially speaking with the 11th house, it's less likely to meet people who are very like bossy and da da da. We all have to do this, blah, blah, blah. Even though you can meet people like that, you know. But with your Aries moon being in the 11th house, you like to react and respond to people that you don't really know. You may feel a lot more comfortable with people that you met at a party or that you meet on Tinder, you know. You like to express your individuality to those people because you may not feel so comfortable with the people that you live with that you've known forever, aka your siblings or I don't know, whoever, your family members, your uncle, your aunties, or whatever. You know, you like people that you met at a club, at a bar, you met when you went to Cape Town that one time. You know, you may like these kinds of people. But now here's the thing, you may get backstabbed by these people, or you may find out that these people don't actually really like want long-term relationships with you because like they were just associates. They were just associated with you for that particular time. And that particular time is gone now, you know, now people are studying, so there's no time to speak to you. And then you as an Aries, you may force specific conversations, you may force whatever it is that you force, you may force like a relationship with people, and people are like, what the fuck, dude? They look at, once again, they look at you weird, like, what, bruh, why is this person living in La La Land? Like, that was just for the holiday, like, it's done now, you know what I'm saying? And then you may try to force these things, you may force these relationships on people, and then people are like, bruh, just chill. And then when you get that energy back, Because here's the thing, Aries people will give you things that they want to get. So if an Aries person gives you all this energy and you're not giving them, you're gonna hurt the Aries person. You really hurt the Aries moon person, especially, right? Because this is a soft spot. This is the Merkaba, right? Your moon is your Merkaba, and this is your soul area, you know. So this may hurt people because it may be like, you form a relationship on the holiday with somebody, and then you may think, okay, great, we're gonna do this, we're dating now, and this person is going to, I don't know, Avda or something, and you live in Durban, and you think, okay, we're gonna have to make this work, and this person is like, no, my boy, it's done, it's shy, like, cool. You know, I mean, and then last but not least, we have fucking Aries moon in the 12th house, right? So this is most likely if you are Taurus rising. So subconsciously, right? This so your Aries energy is going to be predicated into the subconscious house. So subconsciously you can feel the vibrations of everybody else, and you can personally, like, because you're already taking everything personally, right? You're already in somebody with your moon in the subconscious, right? You're already like picking up on somebody's subconscious thoughts and their subconscious feelings and their subconscious whatever. So you may take those things personally and be like, oh, this person is feeling all these feelings. It must be because of me, you know? That type of thing. And it's not like that, because some people, their subconscious is based on things that they watch, music they listen to, food that they like, places they go to, da 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 da. But because you like literally pick up on that because of it being in the 12th house, you may be like, oh, okay, well, this person is subconsciously like this because they're trying to impress me, or because they hate me, or because somehow it's dealing with me. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I feel like the good part to this is that you're very creative also, because the 12th house deals with creativity, you know. But I feel like it can be a lot tricky because the 12th house is the subconscious state, so it can be a lot tricky here, you know, because you also may not know, like, you as an Aries moon person, you may be reacting and responding to somebody else's subconscious, and you think that it's you, and so you get angry. So somebody might be subconsciously an angry person, and you will find that day, and then you get around them and you like pick up on their subconscious, and then you start like fighting yourself, like not knowing that you were just picking up on somebody else's subconscious, and that wasn't you, that was just you picking up on somebody else's subconscious, you know. That's on the negative side, but on the positive side is that you can kind of like, you can sense when someone just has weird vibes, and you can just be out of there, just be like, chuck up the deuces, you know what I'm saying? That type of thing. But yeah, that's it for this video. Aries through the houses. Tomorrow or the next day, I'm gonna be dropping Taurus moon and Taurus moon through the houses. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and bye. Hope you like my ponytails. Also Aries moon. I don't know what I'm gonna have for I mean, did I say Taurus? I said Aries moon, but I hope you like these Aries moon people. Bye.